last session we have seen how to call the REST APIs. So we'll be working on that further. So we'll be experimenting with the do get methods, post methods, and we'll be saving the data using JDBC template into the database. So I'm just sharing my screen. Okay. So I think screen is visible, right? Yeah, fine. So in the last session, what we did, so we have created our REST API. So we created one test class, test controller, REST controller. That is this one, controller test. So we have seen how to call this REST API from the Postman. Hello. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, 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 okay. So just a minute. Hmm. Fonts, right? Fonts are very small. Yes, I can zoom like this. Okay. Okay. Just a minute. Control plus. Is it visible? Okay. Fine. So this was our last REST controller. So what we did in the last session, so we created multiple get methods. So this is the first method where we are sending the map object to the client. So next we send the list of maps. Okay, and these are hard coded. So then how to get a particular object, we created a person object. So this was the person object. Just let me show you the DTO. So this was the person object we created. So we had ID and name, and we are sending this person object from the get person URL. So similarly, we have sent the list of persons. So we are extending that one. So how to access and save this data into the database? For that, I'm using the database Postgres. So what you need to do, if you are using the database in your POM file, you have to add two dependencies. So what are those two dependencies? You have to add this JDBC Spring Boot JDBC starter JDBC this jar, and another one is a Postgres jar. So as I am using the Postgres, so I'm using the Postgres jar. If you are using MySQL or Oracle database, you can use the dependency depending on that. So this is the dependency you have to add, nothing else. After that, what you need to do, you have to go to your application.properties file. Okay, so where you can find that one, last classes also we have discussed. So you will get this one inside the resource folder. So once you open, you can see over here we have given the project name. That is, in our case, it is a demo. That port is running in 9001. This is the server port. If you are running it in a embedded Tomcat, you have to specify the port. But if you are running in a dedicated Tomcat, so this is not required. Okay. So now for database connection, what you need to do. So this is the tag you have to use. You have to use exactly the same way. Then Spring Boot automatically take these properties from this application.properties file, and you will get the connection. No explain, no, you no need to do anything explicitly to make the connection. Just specify the way it's mentioned over here. So what is that? Is Spring data source and driver class name. So here it's a, you can see C capital N capital. It has to be in that way only. Then is the, this is the Postgres driver I am using. So here is my database location. So I have specified the location. My database is running on 5434, and this is my database name. Okay, so username I have specified, and password also I specified in the similar way. Okay, so now to access these things, what you need to do, so you have to create first user. If you go to the Postgres, if you open your Postgres, suppose this is the Postgres 14, right? So in this section, in the schema section, if you expand, so you can see what are the databases are there if you have created prior. Otherwise you'll be seeing this public database. Okay, you, in that case, you have to create user for database to access. You can give the Postgres as a by default, but it's a good practice if you create your own user. So I have created this demo user first. So how to create the demo user? Just right click over here and create a login group. So what you have to specify over here, if you go to this section, you can specify the password. So in our case, I have given the name demo only, and this is the name you have to specify over here. And what are the privileges you want to give? For if you don't know all the things, just give all, so it will be working. So after that, after creating your user, what you need to do, you have to go to your database section. Okay, right click and create database. Okay, so once you do the create database, you can specify your database name, and from the list below, this is the owner list. Here you can find your created user. So this is the demo user. You select this demo user and nothing to do else. So just select this one, give your database name, your database will be created. Okay, so this is the way you can create database. So I hope many people knows about this thing, because if they are already working on Postgres or MySQL, it's a similar kind of thing. So here, this is a table section. Inside your schema, we'll be creating our table, right? So this is our table I have already created. Let's see what are there first. So right click and go to the properties. If you open the properties, you can see the columns. So what I have specified here, in our previous example, what we did, we have captured, where is our Pojo? So this is the Pojo, right? We have captured ID and name only. So I'm extending that one. So keeping those property intact. So ID here, ID you no need to enter. This is I have given next value. That means it's coming from sequence. You can use serial also here. It will come automatically. So this ID you from your side no need to enter. It will be auto incremented. Okay, next one is the name, is a character varying. Gender also I have used character varying. I have given length 10 for gender. Date of birth I kept as, I didn't give date because I consider just for the coding perspective, not the database perspective. So make it easy, I have given all the properties over here. It's a character varying. I have given 10. Mobile number 10. Email ID I have given 50, and entry dates I have kept. So the entry date you no need to enter from the application. So this is database will take care whenever you insert any details, it will be automatically inserted. So what is the type for that? So timestamp without time zone I have selected. If you want to give date or whatever you want to give, you can give that one. So here is the default value. Default value is now. Now is a function, Postgres function. It will insert the value into the database automatically with the time, date, and time. Okay. So this is my table. So what is the table name? User details. So you can see from the here how SQL looks like. So this is the create statement which has created the table. So that's all from this database side. Now we'll go to the controller side. Okay. So as how Spring Boot layers their logics. So when we started our first session, we have already discussed they follow the particular architecture, right? So first layer is the controller layer. Controller accept all the requests, but they don't do anything else. In our last example, we are not doing anything extra, so we kept till controller only. We don't have any logic. We don't have anything related to database, so we didn't create those layers. Okay, so now as we are dealing with database now, we have to create some layers. So what are the layers? One is the service layer, one is the DAO layer. We don't have anything related to business logic now till now, so we didn't create any domain layer, and I didn't create for any Pojo also for those things. But we'll be dealing with the map directly. So later on, we'll see how to interact with the Pojo also. So this is my first controller, CRUD controller. Okay. So what are the things over here? We'll discuss one by one all the methods. So this is the REST controller. Its job is to take the request from the client and forward it to the another layer. So another layer. That's all. This controller is not doing anything else. It's just accepting and forwarding the request. Okay. So this is the controller. Forget about these things, we will come into it. So next layer, I have created the service layer. So what is the service layer? Just see what is the service layer we have. So we have created a service called service crude. So what is there? How will you know this is the service layer? Whenever you will annotate anything with the at the rate service, that becomes the service layer. Okay, you can use the component also. That is another way. That is kind of super class. Okay, you have segregated, Spring has segregated all those things in different layers. See here for the controller, you can see at the rate raised controller we have used, right? For the service layer, we are using at the rate service. So what this is doing, this service layer, as we are dealing with the database now for the time being, all the request it is forwarding to the next layer, which is the DAO layer, data access object. Okay, so where is that layer? So inside the demo, I have created another package DAO. This package structure I already explained in the first class, if you remember. So here I have created one DAO. So this DAO is actually interacting with the database. Okay, so we have already specified our database username, database URL, everything in our properties file. So Spring Boot is very intelligent. It will automatically detect from your properties file, and it will do the job what is required. Okay, so what do you need to do to to insert or retrieve data from the database? You have to call that a specific class which is handling all the query related things. So Spring is providing multiple templates. So one is the JDBC template. This is the very simple one. Thereafter named parameter JDBC template. This is another implementation. So nowadays everybody is following a named parameter JDBC template. If you are not following JPA, JPA means Java Persistence API. Okay, so Java Persistence API we are not doing now. So we are just concentrating on JDBC template. Okay, so what we are using, named parameter JDBC template. What it does and what is the difference between JDBC template and named parameter JDBC template? Both work in the similar way, but here it will give you the more flexibility. Okay, how normally if you have written any query in any programming language, okay, you write insert into the table name and give the fields, and you give the question mark, question mark, question mark, and you have to follow the same sequence whenever you are setting into those parameters to execute the query. If you miss, if your that means position is not proper, so it will be inserted in a different flow, and if database is different, a data type is different, you may get a error. Okay, so here it helps to handle those things if you are using named parameter JDBC template. What it does now, you can see over here, insert into demo user details. So what is the demo is my schema name. If you go to the database, I have created an schema. First of all, I have created a database, and you right click, you can create the schema. You can keep the same name or any other name. So what, and you can create your table inside your schema, right? So if you are using schema, different schema, it's better to give the schema name. If you don't have anything default, okay, if you are keeping default, then no need to give any schema name. If you have any default schema, if you have multiple schema, so I'll suggest always use schema name before the table name. So what is there? Insert into demo.user detail. This is the statement, and this is the schema name and the table name we have specified. After that, inside the bracket, I have specified I want to insert into the name, gender, date of birth, mobile number, and email. Now, this inside the value section, you can see I have given colon name. That means name will be against this value. Gender will be against this value. So what is the advantage of using this? Suppose if you are randomly inserting, that means your position doesn't matter now. So if you keep it at the end also, it will work. It will go to the exact location. That means if instead of gender, as you have a specified name, now it will match this one and this one and insert into this field. So it gives that flexibility to arrange your thing. Sometimes whenever you do the serialization in your object, it gets in different position. You may not get in a proper place. So in those cases, it helps the way you want, you arrange them as per your convenience. Okay, so that's why we are using named parameter JDBC template. And how to execute this one? In the first statement, I have declared a string where I have all my queries. I have given that means parameter values, and I have added those variables as a in the parameter map. What is this map? So this map, instead of giving the question mark directly, we are using this map and we are adding the value from the parameter whatever we are getting, okay, directly. So this is the piece of code which will insert your details into the database. But how will it insert? So you have to do named parameter dot update. What will you pass over there? The query you have created, you have to give that one, and you have to use the parameters that the map you have created. It's a kind of map only, but it's a separate implementation. That implementation has changed. They've implemented it in different way. So but it's a map. Okay, so this parameter you have to specify, and it will execute. Once it is execute, it will return you the number of rows it inserted. So if it is success, it will return you more than one. Okay, so if it's a more than one, I've declared a variable over here. It's a boolean. It will return you true. Okay, your row has inserted. So now, if you see what are the things over there, we have the repository. So what does it mean actually? Whenever you specify any classes with the repository, your Spring Boot will consider, okay, all database related thing will be happening over here. That's why at the right repository. Now, this is called the dependency injection. So if you don't know what is dependency injection, that is a purely Java related thing. It's a way of implementing the object creation. It's very flexible, loosely coupled. You don't need to worry about them, but you have to understand, you have to know that at the rate AutoAR it will create the object for you. So we are using named parameter JDBC template. Whenever using at the rate AutoAR, at the runtime it will create the instance for you. Okay, so it is loosely coupled. So if you want to know more about what is a dependency injection, so you have to go through the Java. Okay, so I'm not going into that. So now you can see what is here. Transactional means in any database, whenever you execute any query, there is a transaction, right? You are doing some transaction. Okay, so that transaction might be a data manipulation or data retrieving. Okay, so now insert is a data manipulation kind of thing. So your transaction is required. In that case, it is not only a read only thing. You are inserting some data into the database. So in that case, you have to use that at the rate transactional. And what is the propagation? That means propagation is required. Many different types of propagations are they are nested. These are very that means I am not going to that much detail. Just you remember, whenever you are inserting any value into the database, you give the propagation type is required. That means you need the transaction and it is not in read only. So that's why read only equal to false. So we are not doing just a select statement. Okay, now you can see another thing. This is very important. Rollback for a single table, it doesn't matter that much. But if you are inserting in multiple table one after one, it should, if there is any error, suppose you are inserting value into the two tables, second table got error, first table also should roll back. Okay, otherwise half of the information will get stored. So that's why rollback for when. So I have given whenever it is exception. So you can give SQL exception also. You can give any exception you think it might be there. But exception is the super class. If you give, it will take care everything. If it's a parsing exception, and if it's any other kind of exception, so it will take care. But if you are sure that no, my object, if you are sending an model object, right, like a person last time we have seen, so in those cases, before sending into this layer, you will know what is going to set there. So input exception, that means parsing exception won't be there. In that case, you can minimize this one as an parsing exception also. So but if you don't know, as I am sending a map, so I have given over here exception class. Okay, now, and my all the values in my database also I have kept as an string. Nothing is integer except the primary key, that is the id, but id is inserted by the database only, as it I have used the sequence over there. So this is the piece of code. What is the name? Save details. It will give you the, it will save your data from the client into the database, right? Now next method I have created, this is the list. Once you insert, you want to, obviously you want to view all the details whatever you have inserted, right? So I have created a method, and this is my query, select a star from demo.user details. So it will give you all the details. Okay, now how will you get jdbc template dot query for list? I have specified, I don't want a single record, I want the whole list. Okay, so they'll give you the list, and this is empty now, no criteria is there, nothing in wire clause, I don't have anything, so I didn't send anything, still I have passed an empty parameter over there. Okay, so whenever you will do query for list, the result it will give you a list. So now map is very convenient, it's very easy to use. I am returning as a list of map. So what it will return? String is the attribute, or metadata, you can say, that is the name, id, gender, those things, and what are the value stored. So sometimes you have to use object only. You cannot, even if your all the parameters are string, so you cannot use string over here, because database don't want this name parameter, don't want to handle that one. If you give object, it will take care everything, whether it's integer, float, double, whatever you have specified in your database, it will be taken care. Okay, so that's why it's better whenever you are retrieving or inserting also, if you use object, that is better. Now in my case, whenever I was inserting, I have given string, because I know specifically except the id, all the values I have in the in my table, I have a string only. That's why I have given a string. You can use object also, but if you give object, you have to parse it over here. Even if it's a string, you have to cast it to a string. If you have integer, you have to cast it to an integer. So to make it simple, I have given a string over there. But whenever you are retrieving your database, always will give you the object, so you have to use object only. So list of map. So first one is the, that is your key, and second one is your value. So that is the list. Now next method, what it is doing, it's a get details. That means you have inserted, but particular row you want to edit or you want to view particular record, you have to pass the primary key or any key which is unique, so that you can get only single row for them, single row for edit or something or viewing. Okay, so what we are doing, like the previous one only, select a star from demo users where user id equal to colon. So as we are using the named parameter, so after equal to I have given colon id. Okay, now I have to prepare the parameters. So how do you prepare? So like this add we did, right? So here, as I have already one parameter, instead of creating and assigning one by one, adding value one by one, I have specified whenever I'm instantiating the object over here. So you can see this is the same thing only. I have created the parameter. I have specified when I want to execute the query. Now you can see what is it. Named parameter dot query for map. Previously, I asked for query for list. Now, as I want only one row, so I'll be writing query for map over here. Similarly, I'll be passing my SQL and I'll be passing my parameter. Suppose in database, I have the primary key 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. So I'll be passing 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. Okay. Next section, what do we have? So now you can see these two select are read only, because we are not manipulating in the database. That's why I didn't give any transactional over here. But suppose you have retrieved the data, you will be editing obviously or viewing. If you want to edit, you will be updating, right? So this is the section where that details will get updated. Similar like the insertion only, but here query is different. Update your table, set your parameters. So similarly, we are setting the parameters over here, and similarly we are adding into the parameters map. Okay, once you have added into the parameters map, like insert we have already done, update, so we'll be doing the update only over here. So it will be update and it will return the similar type of response. Okay, if it is more than one, it will give true or false. Okay, next one is the delete is also it's same. Here you can see update also, it's a transactional. Why? It will be manipulating the database. It is not read only equal to false, rollback exception, this is there. For delete also it might be same. Sometimes id you have sent, but that id doesn't exist in the database, it might throw some error also. And even if it's not throwing, suppose if it's an integer but you have passed some string value, okay, so in that case, if it throws error, so it should roll back if multiple deletes are there. Okay, in two, from 2 3 tables. Okay, so what is the SQL for this? Delete from this demo user demo dot user details where ID equal to this one. This is the variable. I need a parameter map. So I'll be specifying while I am instantiating the object. Similarly, JDBC template dot update SQL and parameter. Okay. Till this part, our all the insertion, deletion, updation, and retrieval method is done. So our DAO layer is ready. So now you can call this one, but you are not going to call it directly. Even if you can, if you want, you can call, but it is good practice if you segregate your persistence layer, business layer, and request layer. So that's why we have controller, we have service, we have DAO. Now in controller, you can see I didn't call the DAO layer, I have called the service layer. So I have created the service. If you go to the service layer, this is my service layer, what I have done. Similarly, the way I have auto-add the service in the controller, I have auto-add the DAO where I have all the methods. Auto-add means you are instantiating an object, but it's a loosely coupled. It's a dependency injection, right? So service layer, you'll be specifying at the right service. So your application will know specifically, okay, so this is the service layer. Now you can see instead of service layer, everywhere you can use the component. Okay, but why to segregate these things? Suppose there in Spring there is another feature that is called the AOP, aspect oriented programming. So if you want to do something repeated work in one place, these layers, layer wise, you can segregate them. Suppose you want to handle the exception in AOP, you specify I want the exception handling only for the service layer. So this annotation will help you. Okay, later on, if any programmer is working on service layer, he will be viewing this file only. But who is working in a persistence layer, they will be viewing the DAO file only. Okay, so this also helps. So all the jobs and roles will be segregated. So that's why we have created. So in service layer, you can see I have auto-add our DAO layer. Okay, so what is there? Same same method. So I'm passing the whatever I'm getting from the controller, I'm just passing to the DAO method. So this is DAO method. If you go over here, this is the same method. So you can see parameter is coming as a map. From the service layer also, I'm sending the map. I'm just taking the map, I'm sending it to the DAO. Similarly, for list, I don't have any parameter. So for get details, I'll be passing the ID. So it will be giving me the ID. Now update, you can see I want to update the whole object, obviously. So I'll be sending a map. And if it's a delete, I'll be sending the ID which you want to delete. Now come to controller. So now I think your DAO layer is clear, service layer is clear. Service layer is very simple, nothing is, it is just taking the request and forwarding it to a particular location in the DAO layer. Now in service layer, I have different endpoints I have created. As it's a CRUD operation, I will be creating. So edit, updating, deleting will do those things. We'll read from the database. Everything will be doing. So here, first method, as you are manipulating in the database. So I prefer you use the post method. Okay, so it's very safe. So at the rate post mapping, all are annotations. If you are doing in Spring Boot, you'll get multiple annotations for different. But it makes your job very easy. Okay, so at the rate post mapping, so this is the mapping. Now you are telling this is my URL. If anybody access this URL, they can save the data, but it has to be in proper format. So I'm giving the request body. What is the request? What is the how parameters are coming? It will be coming as an body parameter. Okay, that's why request body I have specified over here. So this is the map will be coming from the client. Okay, And at the end, what it will do, it will call the service class. You can see this is a service save method. I have passed the parameter. Once you see, click over here, you can see this is calling this method. And if you click again, this is the insert query is executing. So this is the method with the post mapping. Mapping is the save details. It will execute. Once it is executed, if it is a true, it will be displaying save details saved, otherwise unable to save. Similarly, for get, so no need to do anything in that, just reach the read only request, we can use get, no need to use post. So list details. So once you call this URL, you'll get the list of the details whatever you have inserted into the database. Similarly, service.list details, this already we have created this method, it will be calling, and this will be calling the list details, and this piece of query will get executed. Similarly, for get details also, but for get details I need a parameter. That's what I have given request parameter. And what will be the parameter from where you will be calling? I have given ID. If you give ABCD, you have to give ABCD over here. And this is the variable, it will be casting the value into integer as an ID. And this ID you'll be passing into the service method to get the details. So if you go over here, it is calling the DAO. If you go further, you can see this piece of query is getting executed. Okay, so it will give you a specific record. Now, similarly, update means what? You'll be updating the whole object. Again, request body like the insert, you can pass the whole parameter as a map. Okay, and update method will be called similarly like insert. If you go over here, this is the query is getting executed. Okay, so our update is also done. Now the last method, it is a delete method. Okay, so here also we need a parameter to delete. So once you pass the parameter and call the method, so it will delete. Now in Spring, we for delete we have a delete mapping also. You can use delete mapping also. If you are updating a single record, you can update patch or put also you can use. These are the different methods you can use, like instead of just using get and post. Okay, but first insert, the convention is that first insert, if it's a whole object, use post. Get to retrieve value. If you are updating, you can use patch over here instead of post. And if you are deleting, you can use the delete mapping over here. Okay, so those things, once you learn the basic, you can explore yourself. So let's run the project. Let's see how it behaves. Okay, first of all, you install this one. Okay, build is success. Just let me run. I'll be running as a Java application. Okay, so I have already selected demo application. Okay, so it is running our, as we have configured already, 9001. Okay, so now I'll go to the postman. So I have already copied those URL just to save time. So this object also I have created. So okay, now first I want to save the details. So I'll be changing it to suppose XYZ123. This is the name I am sending. So mail, suppose I'll be changing the date of birth equal to 10 like this. Okay, so and mail also suppose I'll be changing like this. Okay, now what is there? So first of all, see, this is your local host and your port, whatever you have specified over there. Okay, save details. Save detail means what? This is your endpoint. Once you give the save details, it will be calling this method. Okay, and you have specified this is a post mapping. So you have your method will be the post. Now here you can see you have specified it's a request body, right? And it's a map. So what you have to do, you have to go to the body section, select raw if you are using postman, and that this is the JSON object, make it JSON. So once we send, just let's see what happens. Okay, details saved. Okay, so details are saved. Now we have to verify. So you can verify from here into the database, go here, open. Yeah, you can see this is the record. This one I have I have tested while I was writing the code before your workshop. So this is our record which just have inserted. Okay, you can see the time over here. Okay, this is the date. Okay, this is database. We didn't specify this one, but database is automatically inserting this one as you have specified the default value. Okay, now let's check from our UI. That means how it is working. So what is our next method? So this is the list details. Okay, so we have to call the list details, and type is get mapping. You can see get mapping I have specified over here. So we'll go to the get. First of all, make it get. Then this one is the URL pattern. Okay, so you have to give the list as you have mentioned in here, list details. So you have to give list details. No parameters, nothing is required because it's a get method and you are retrieving all the values. Okay, just see. I have two rows. I am getting two JSON objects. This is the JSON array, and we have these two objects. Correct? Okay. So this way you will get the details from the database. Fine. Now, what is our next method? After list, I need to check a specific value. Now you can see in our database we have two values, 2 and 3. I want to check one of them. Okay, so let's go here. So I'll check whatever I have inserted over here, 3. Now what you have to specify over here, just here you can notice I have given request parameter. It's not a part of body, it's a part of your URL. So that's why request parameter. Okay, once you say the request parameter, here question mark id equal to 3, because our primary key is id. You can specify over here. Once you specify, it automatically will appear into your URL. Okay, so if I remove, see, it's not there. If I add it, it will be there. So this is your list details. No, we need the get details, not the list details. Okay, so get details, id I have given, and get method, this is the id. Let's see. Okay, so for that particular rows we have got the object. Let's try with the number 2. Okay, so 2 is there, but if you try 1, it will throw an exception, but it didn't get anything. See, 500. So these things you have to handle. You cannot show all these errors into the client, so you have to do the proper exception handling. See here also in Eclipse also I have got the error because that value doesn't exist, so you have to do the proper exception handling also. Okay, so this is the way you can get the value. Now what will I do? I want to update some value, right? So what, number 3 we want to modify, which we have already inserted. So I'll change over here. I have to send the whole object so that it can get the primary key also, which one I have to update. So ABC, I'll change XYZ from ABC. So now name is ABC XYZ. Mail ID also I'll change. And this one 2021, suppose. Okay. Just see how it is working. Now you can see over here, post method, update details, and body. Why? In your update, request body you have specified, this is your URL, and this is the post mapping you have specified, right? So let me execute this piece of code. Okay, details updated. How will you verify now? Just go to the get method. So which one we have updated? We have updated 3. Okay, so I'll make it 3. Now you can see that value. See, ABC XYZ, ABC XYZ. These things we changed, right? So these got updated. Okay, now I want to delete whatever I have inserted. Okay, so how to delete? So I'll give 3 over here, right? So now in delete method, again you have to pass the request parameter id as an integer. Okay, and this is the URL. Method is post method. Okay, now in delete you can see method is post, this is your URL, and this is your parameter. No body I haven't specified, but it is better whenever you are using delete method, pass as a body parameter like we did prior for insert and update. But for just to show the demo, I have passed in the parameter. Okay, so if I execute this one, see, details deleted. Okay, no more details. Just see, you can see our details which we have inserted, no more there. You can verify from here also. These details, execute, see, now only one record is there. So whatever the record we have inserted, that is already deleted. Correct? So this way you can use the map to insert, delete, search, whatever you want to do. You can use this CRUD operations from Spring Boot. Now you can see I am sending a parameter over here as a map. Okay. Instead of sending as a map, what can you do? You can change your person object over here. What we had name, gender, date of birth. Okay. Okay. I'll take name. I already have gender. Okay. I'll be specifying all the variables over here. So instead of using map, you can use this one. It is very good practice if you are using mm, a specific pojo, but in some scenario if you are doing high level programming, some cases you may not know all the values. In those cases map is very uh, good practice to use. Okay, so I'll be using the mobile number and email. Okay, so these are the variables: name, gender, date of birth, mobile number, and email. Okay, all are private method I have specified. What I have to do, I have to create all the getter setter. I have already for ID and name. So in that case I have to create the getter setter. I'll go over here, generate using fancy getter setter. Okay, so I'll be selecting whatever remaining. So now you can see all the getter setter methods are created. Now we can use this object. Okay, instead while inserting, right, I'll be creating another insert method, that save one. Okay, so instead of map I'll give it as a person object, person p, right? Okay, just import. Okay, now first of all I have to change my DAO so that it can handle that one. So I will be creating another method over here, save details one. Now instead of map I'll be sending person. Okay, so this is the person object. So how to take p dot get name, those getter setter we have created, right? Dot get name, p dot get gender. Okay, p dot get date of birth, p dot get mobile, p dot get email. Okay, so this is the DAO I have created. Nothing to change, just only I have changed the instead of map I have used a specific object. Okay, so I'll go over here. This is the service layer. I'll be creating the service for this one, and similarly return dot save details one, which is taking the person object. It will also return the same boolean, and you can call this one from here, just sending the person. So that's all. So now you access this endpoint, instead of save and send the same object, it should work. Okay, so this is the way. Instead of using map, you can use a specific object also. Okay, so that's all for today. If you have any question, you can ask me. If you have any confusion.
Yeah, hi Abhijit, I'm Panisha.
Hi. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, I want to ask like you were using map right before,
Yes, yes.
and then later on you told that it is good to use what do you call this objects, right? So
Yes,
like
yes.
when in which situation it is feasible to use map and
Okay. Okay, fine, fine,
yeah,
fine.
I want
See, suppose if you are working with an application, where you know all the fields from the beginning only, and you will be doing bin level validation also. Correct? You know bin level validation. What is the bin level validation? That means you will be specifying a regular expression on top of the POJOs, right? So whenever it is coming to your controller, right, before sending it to the different layer, it will validate. Correct? So in those cases, you can use uh, objects, and object is the best practice to use. But some scenarios, whenever you are using the dynamic values, you don't know what are the parameters will be coming from the REST API. Okay, somebody is accessing along with the actual object, along with the actual object, they may send some other details also. If those details are not there in your person object for processing, they might not work the way you have designed. In those cases, if you are not sure, in those cases you better you use map. Is it clear? Or
Yes, yes,
is,
yes.
yeah,
Thank you. Thank you.
okay, okay. Yeah, anyone else?
Actually, last week, now I didn't
Hmm.
attend the session. Is there any recordings or maybe study material for last week?
Last week I didn't record actually. Very less people are also there, so I forgot to record actually. Normally Krish, he used to record, so I couldn't record that one. If you have any confusion, anytime you can come back. See, so I'll be sharing this project, this demo project. And for last class, you can see I'll be explaining these things again. So these are the things we did. Instead of going to the DAO layer and service layer, other layers, we are hard coding. You can see we are creating the map manually. We have shown how to create an Spring Boot project, how to access the API URLs. Those things are explained over here actually in last classes. So similar things we did today also, but it's from database. So if you go through this project, right, see, you'll understand. And if you have any confusion, you can come to us so we can clear. Okay, anyone?
It's fine, sir.
It's fine, right? Okay, okay, then it's already, yeah.
I have experience with Java. Yes, yes.
No, actually, I know about Java, but then I haven't like worked in any real world project or something related to Java.
Yeah, no, sir, I don't have experience in Java. Means I have gone through some projects, but it was in a different way, I think. Yeah,
No, no, this is the Spring Boot, right? Spring Boot is mainly used for REST APIs. Okay,
yeah.
so whenever you are doing microservice architecture, this is we use the Spring Boot. But Spring Boot can be used as an UI also, but it is not advisable. This purpose of creating that whole Spring Boot, it's a for REST APIs only. If you want to work with the UI everything, you should go for the Spring MVC, not the Spring Boot.
Yeah. Okay.
He, yeah, from the mobile or Flutter applications or React application, Angular application, they can consume. Yeah, you can see. You see, Spring Boot has two way you can use Spring Boot. If you are using it, you can use as a REST API. That is the first priority. That's why Spring Boot has created. Second one, if you think no, I'll be using JSP also, you can create UI also inside this. But it's not that powerful like normal MVC. You can do crude operation, normal application also you can create, but it is not advised. This is not built for web applications. It is for REST APIs only. You can orchestrate it, you can deploy it in a Docker, Kubernetes, all the clustering things. This is the purpose of Spring Boot. But if you want to integrate JSP also, it can be done. It's not that big issue actually. Normal days, what is happening, right? So everybody wants to create mobile app. Okay, so how mobile app will send the data? Then you will backend will be the Spring Boot from the React application or Flutter application. They'll be sending data through the Spring Boot application. Yeah.
So I think it's fine with whatever decision you make. Hello.
Mm. Yes, yes, yes. I'll be sharing the project in the group and the database also. You have to use the Postgres 14 for that one, and Java 17 I have used. Yeah, that's all. And yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you for
Thank you so
Okay.
Thank you.